The National Museum of the Marine Corps is a historic museum of the United States Marine Corps, situated on a 135-acre site adjacent to the Marine Corps Base at Quantico, Virginia. It opened in November 2006 and replaces two other historical Marine Corps museums. The museum is a lasting tribute to the commitment, accomplishments, and sacrifices of the U.S. Marines made over nearly 250 years of their history. The museum's soaring design was created by famed architect Curtis W. Fentress. His design evokes an image of a flag raising over Iwo Jima, an image that is also preserved in the Marine Corps Memorial in Arlington, Virginia. The museum is designed to be the centerpiece of a 135-acre campus that includes the Semper Fidelis Memorial Park and the Semper Fidelis Chapel. Memorial and placards line the picturesque walking trails that complement the storytelling of the United States Marine Corps. Spread over two floors, or as the museum labels them, decks, are galleries recounting the history of the Marines. These galleries will be explored later in the video. In addition, there are special exhibits about non-combat roles that the Marine Corps has played over the years. On the second deck, there's expansive galleries of Marine Corps combat artists. Complementing these displays are classrooms, theaters, gift shops, a bar, a restaurant, and a rifle range of laser simulation, which was not operating at the time I visited. Entering the front door of the museum immediately places you into a 210-foot soaring space. This impressive space and its exhibits on display speak to the very core of what it means to be a United States Marine. The Leatherneck Gallery highlights some of the air and ground equipment essential to the Marine Corps' operational success. Suspended over the gallery are 5 aircrafts that are the turning points in Marine Corps aviation. On the ground, there is an LVT-1 amphibious tractor beaching on the defensive log wall on the Pacific island of Tarawa, while a Sikorsky UH-34D helicopter depicts Marines heading for cover as they exit the helicopter during Operation Starlight in 1965. Anchoring the rear of the gallery, a 3-level observation deck and elevator tower resembling the ship's superstructure and reminds visitors of the strong Navy-Marine Corps partnership. Portraits of 8 Marines standing watch over the area and the surrounding travertine walls are engraved with evocations and inspirational quotes. The Legacy Walk immerses visitors in a nearly 250-year history of the Marine Corps. On one side of the Legacy Walk is a set of timelines detailing the Marine Corps activities at home and abroad, alongside national and world events. On the other side of the Legacy Walk are connections to the museum's historical exhibit gallery. One of the first things you see when you enter the Legacy Walk is Colonial Marines perched high atop a sailing ship's fighting top with muskets in hand. This section of the Legacy is titled Defending the Republic, 1775 to 1865. There are several displays highlighting the early history of the Marines, which is generally not as well known as their accomplishments in the 20th and 21st centuries. For example, the Mexican War had many battles, one of which immortalized the Marine hymn. A map of operations from 1775 to 1865 shows the global reach of the Marines from its earliest history. After the Civil War, America extended its reach, and the Marine Corps saw its role expand around the globe in the Global Expeditionary Force. Between 1866 and 1916, the Marines were engaged in protecting American interests in far-flung corners of the world, including Korea, Cuba, the Caribbean Sea, Mexico, the Philippines, and China, to just name a few. There's a section of this gallery called Capturing the Hearts of America. Here a familiar name appears, John Philip Sousa, who was the director of the Marine Corps Band in 1880. He was aged 25. Another set of graphics recalls the time the country was reading front-page headlines about the Leatherneck's accomplishments around the world. Further on, the World War I gallery immerses the visitors in a montage of recreated war environments, displays of weapons of the day, and heroic stories of those who fought in World War I. Between the wars, from 1919 to 1939, the Marines were protecting U.S. interests in South America and the Caribbean. It was during this period that the concept of amphibious assaults against a heavily fortified beach was developed. Following on the historical timeline is a major exhibit on World War II. This gallery showcases the gripping stories of the Pacific campaigns. With the help of tanks, artillery pieces, aircraft, small arms, and a recreation of what the Marines experienced during those harrowing days. The hard-fought battle for Iwo Jima is remembered with the original flag raised on the island on display, as well as the historic photograph by Associated Press photographer Joe Rosenthal that immortalized the event. A pointed display is the representation of the 6,000 Marine Corps and U.S. Navy personnel that gave their lives to take this one island. The gallery honors the uncommon valor, sacrifices, and accomplishment of America's greatest generation. The Forgotten War, the Korean War from 1950 to 1953, is the focus of the next gallery on Legacy Wall. More than 70 years ago, thousands of Americans fought a bitter war on the Korean Peninsula against a very determined enemy. The gallery pictures some of the most difficult battles and conditions, reminiscent of World War I with trench warfare everywhere. This war marked the Marine Corps' first combat use of both helicopters and jet aircraft. On exhibit is a Grumman Pathfinder jet fighter and an early Sikorsky helicopter. When the Marines entered Vietnam in 1965 with 2 battalions, it had no idea it would be the longest in Marine Corps history. visitors enter the battle through a series of immersive exhibits and are introduced to the weapons and equipment used by the combatants. A A-4 Skyhawk and an ever-present UH-1 Huey helicopter represents the air war. Particularly compelling is the simulation of an airlift into a hot landing zone on a CH-46 helicopter. From 1965 to 1975, almost 500,000 Marines served in Southeast Asia. Nearly 13,000 were killed and 52,000 were wounded. The final phase of the museum is a work in progress. Under development is a gallery space which will tell the Marine Corps story from 1976 through the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. A great deal of this exhibit has been completed and can be seen from the second deck of the museum. However, parts of the final phase of the museum are complete. These exhibits are on the Marine Corps performing humanitarian missions, providing embassy security, and highlight the role they played in the terrorist attack of 9/11. Occupying a small alcove off Legacy Walk is an exhibit on Marine Corps families. This exhibit is filled with family stories and provides an appreciation of how families are an integral part of the Marine Corps. At the end of the Legacy Walk is a gallery with exhibits that periodically change. Currently, the gallery highlights the role Marines have played in the U.S. space program from 1961 till today. A visit to the museum would not be complete without visiting the Making Marines Gallery located near the start of Legacy Walk. In this gallery, visitors step inside the process used by drill instructors to transform young men and women into Marines. With narrated video clips and immersive displays, visitors get a close-up and personal view of the most important lessons learned in boot camp. On the second deck, there is an expansive art gallery featuring one-of-a-kind expressions of life in the Marine Corps. The material in these galleries were created over decades of Marine history. It is worth time to walk the beautiful trails of the Semper Fidelis Memorial Park. There are over 40 remembrances along the trail that are moving tributes to those who served the country.